Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Zera Otherworlds video. This one is going to be going over the changes that were brought about in version 2.2, which just released today. And also, I want to touch on a few of the other changes from the previous versions, because there were a few updates since the initial 2.0 release as well. Not a lot of major ones, but just a few things here and there. So yeah, I just want to run down through the list a little bit before I actually show you some of them, just so I don't forget anything. So the main thing was that there's a new recovery jump mechanic in the game. Basically, as long as you haven't already previously jumped and you're in the air, you can perform a jump. Similar to the way the handspring jump works, you just literally press jump while you're in the air already, and you get an air jump, essentially. And this works if you accidentally charge off a ledge. You can press jump to charge upwards out of it, potentially save yourself. And it's also it's a neat little thing for platforming. It adds to her variety of mechanics and things like that. Also, there's a bunch of things regarding input delays. So now there basically should be almost no input delays whatsoever from certain movements. I know previously there was one where if you were falling, you wouldn't necessarily be able to, like cancel it out into a glide immediately, which sometimes would just lead people to be unable to save themselves if they accidentally, dove off a ledge because the gliding just wasn't activating quick enough. And also, in addition to that, you now skip the boot up sequence, pressing any button in the main menu, or any button in the load up screen, and it'll go straight to the main menu. A few other things, not necessarily big enough to go over. You can read about them all in the changelog. But now on to 2.2, there's been a lot of changes to Dark Rift itself. That's why this update has taken probably a couple weeks now. I would have liked to have had it out about 2 weeks ago, but it was a lot of changes. I guess we'll jump into this and I'll show you guys the changes for Dark Rift, as well as some that affect Leap Castle. For starters, and this one isn't just Dark Rift change, this is a universal thing. I redid the dialogue scroll option, as well as the font choice is different now. So everything is a little bit more legible. It was also, I wanted to try out using like a 3D model kind of thing. It sort of pops in and off screen. So that's a new change in this version. So yeah, now on to some of the things. The areas in Dark Rift have been adjusted a little bit. They've been broken up and damaged a bit more, and there are now more relics and an extra reality cog, bringing the total up to the same as Leap Castle, which is 1,000 and then 5 respectively. So yeah, there's all of those changes. You can see here, there's another one right there. That's a decent sized change. There's a lot more destruction in the level. Things split apart a bit more than they were previously. Stuff spread out a bit more evenly, I guess, as well. You can see, like, if you play the previous version, there was a reality cog right here, has now actually been moved over here. It's sort of more of a challenge to get that reality cog. There's also different sort of container layouts and spacings here and there that have been added that just sort of make running through the level a bit more smooth and fun. And you probably also noticed there's a few more texture variants in the level than there was previously, as well as some more lighting changes. This I think was just needed, and there probably will be more with time. It's kind of how it goes. I gradually sort of add to the levels. Yeah, so before we get into like the big changes for Dark Rift, I know that probably seems like a decent sized one right there, but before we get into that, let's discuss Heartfruit and Zera's health indicator, because I know that's sort of been a thing that's It's not really very widely known what that is, probably because it's not very obvious. And it wasn't prior to now. I think it's a lot more clear. If you notice, Zera herself has had some work on her model. This is the first time she's had changes to her model made in a very long time, probably since last year. Her gills and ears are now bigger than they were previously. Her teeth are much more noticeable, so you can actually see that she has them. Her eyes are a little bit bigger. She also has shading under her wings, which makes them a lot more just detailed looking, I guess, than before. In addition to that, you probably also saw that she kind of sat down for an animation there. She's got separate little extra idle animation potentials now. Right now it's just the one, but more will be added. And this is just to kind of, I don't know, just give her something else going on when she's being played or whatever. Like, she'll kind of sit down, take a load off, and then she'll gradually fall asleep, which I think is adorable. So yeah, more animation stuff like that will be coming at some point. It's just a matter of when. But yeah, so with regards to the health and the gills, I mentioned that for a reason, because Heartfruit now has been modified to update, or not update, to reflect this change. Now actually also features similar gill-like appendages to sort of drive home the link between the two. Yeah, so let's get on to the actual big changes here. See that you can see right here. This is the recovery jump I was talking about from earlier. So you see, you can walk off the ledge here, and it only works once, like one time when you've been in the air, obviously. So, you know, if you handspring, you can't, and you do the handspring jump. That is essentially the same jump. So you can't, you know, do that and then, you know, jump again. Like, it's not gonna work. Because they're both basically the same exact air jump. It's just now you have access to it with other movement options, sort of aid in playing. Also, I don't remember if I touched on this already, but stuff like, yeah, I think I mentioned there's a lot more like, relics in this level now. And that's also come with the change to their placement of where the ones were previously. Most of the placement is the same, but there has been quite a few more added and some moved, as you could probably tell. So yeah, now on to the big changes, which are things like this area. If you played the previous version, or if you saw the previous video on the game, you'll know that there used to be like more of an open area here, and it would lead into a cave system. A cave system, I'm using the term pretty loosely because it was just a single cave. But that is no longer the case. This whole area has been completely modified and redone from the ground up, which is why this is taking so long. To be a completely brand new area with actual platforming in it. I think it's a lot more visually interesting. It also shows off more of the destruction of Dark Rift so far. I won't spoil too much of this, I'll let you guys kind of play through this area on your own. But yeah, and then it just goes off here into, you know, the same previous kind of areas. There's been a few more changes to Dark Rift, mostly just like lighting and some texture variations and just light little adjustments to things like this. Like you could see the sort of like thickness, I guess, of the concrete layer is sort of ununiform now. It's not perfectly even, and it's kind of little changes like that I've just gone around throughout the level trying to make so it's less perfect looking, I guess. It seems more like exaggerated and unrealistic in a good way, if that makes sense. Sort of just break up the sameness of some things like that, make it a little bit different. But yeah, that's all of the changes, really, I think. Oh, one more before I forget. You see here the range on her reality cog alert is now much bigger than it was. So I think it's going to be a little bit more useful. And also, actually, most definitely not all the changes. Let me actually go back to Leap Castle. There was one here, but Leap Castle's got more of better examples, I guess, to show this. It's the final thing, I promise, and then we'll end the video. Actually, possibly two things. If I didn't already show it, the gills now actually fall off when you take damage, which makes it a little bit more obvious that they're the health indicators. Anyways, again, let me stop rambling on. So you notice in Dark Rift and right here, the balloons that you kind of hang off of, they've been completely removed. And that is because there is a new mechanic. What these guys mean. As you can see right here, it's this brown little thing right here. Probably have no idea what that is, but I will show you in just a second. So whirlwinds are also gone as well. You're probably noticing that now too. So the reason for both, balloon transportation and the whirlwinds being removed is that the balloons were kind of just too slow. People didn't really like them. And whirlwinds was very much like a Spyro thing. That was just kind of like a holdover from that era of the game's development. And so finally they've been replaced with something that's more suitable to Zera's character, a little bit more acrobatic and I guess fun. And that is trampolines. And the fun thing about the trampolines is that Kiwi is actually the trampoline surface that you'll bounce on. It kind of stretches out onto it. You activate them by simply somersaulting on to them. I think it's a pretty fun, neat little mechanic. It's also much, much faster than either the whirlwinds or the balloons ever were. So, it's quite a bit of fun. I find this particularly amusing. But yeah, that's all the changes I really wanted to cover. I'm sure I've missed a few or something like that, but I don't think it was anything super, super important. But if you want to see the full list of changes, every copy of the Zera Otherworlds game files, like if you look in there, there's actually a changelog file. It should be just the text document. Just open it up with Notepad. You can actually see a breakdown of every single change for the game, from the most recent version to the earliest. So yeah, and with that, I think we'll call that a day on this this video of Zera Otherworld updates, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.